Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about fan fiction. I recently had a conversation with a friend of mine on the validity of writing and reading fan fiction. Now, when I say fanfic, I'm talking about fanfic, not real person fic. Personally, real person fic is just not my bag. For me, it just borders a little too close to invasion of privacy. So I do not read nor do I write real person fic. Fanfic, however, I absolutely write the crap out of because it's fun. It's your favorite characters in your creation, in your new twist, your new story, your idea. The what if that has plagued your mind for years. Write it. Why not? Now, a lot of people when they hear fan fiction, they think of smut, just sex all over the place. Actually, there are a lot of different types of fan fiction other than smut. Yes, there is smut. There is also angst. There is also fluff. There is also AUs. There are a ton of different subcategories in the fanfic world. There's a huge stigma on reading and most of all writing fan fiction. For some reason, a lot of people think that when you're writing fan fiction, you're not creating. That's simply not true. And actually, I would venture to say that writing fan fiction is a great way for new writers to start off with learning how to tell a story. Half the work's already done for you. Most of the time, you already have a setting, you already have characters that you're going to use that are somewhat developed, if not fully developed. All you have to do is create your own storyline within that universe or create an AU with an alternate storyline that is completely different from the original content. And there you go, you're creating. So here are 6 misconceptions about fanfic writers. 1, they're all bad writers. This is simply not true. A lot of the fanfic writers that I've been reading for years are fantastic writers. And it's crazy because you can see how much they've grown from their first fic to their most recent fic. You can just see the growth, which is amazing. 2, only teens or tweens write fan fiction. Again, this is not true. I myself am an avid writer of fan fiction. I know dozens of women in their 30s and 40s and even men, some men in their 40s that write fan fiction still to this day. It's not just for tweens and it's not just for teens. There are writers of all ages and all walks of life that write fan fiction. 3, it's not creative. Okay, I'll give you this much that a portion of the work is already done for you when you're writing fan fiction, but most fan fiction, good fan fiction, is an actual story. It's a separate story from the story already having been told on the TV screen or in a film or even in a book. So it is creative. They are creating original characters to blend with the already established characters, or they're using the established characters to create a whole new storyline. Sometimes they build an entire new world. An example of this would be E.L. James' Master of the Universe, which was a Twilight fanfiction that you now know as 50 Shades of Grey. 4, they're not real writers. Again, completely false. A lot of fanfic writers that I know have actually gone on to publish many, many novels. I actually know one in particular who just published, I think it was her 3rd novel. So fanfic writers are just as real and just as creative as original work authors. 5, it's all perverted fantasy. Again, not true. Most fanfic writers write a variety of different subgenres. Again, there is smut, there's fluff, there's angst, there's AUs, all kinds of AUs. I mean, mafia AUs, royalty AUs, coffee shop AUs. The list literally goes on and on. There are many different subgenres within fanfic. It's not all smut. It's not all NC-17. Actually, a lot of it is between G and R for cussing or violence. But there is just as much creativity in creating a good fanfic story as there is in creating an original story. The only difference is that a portion of the work in terms of the characters and in some cases the setting is already done for you. but you're still creating a story all the same. And you still might be creating original characters all the same, again, depending on what kind of story you're writing. And finally, 6, no one takes them seriously. Not true. I think E.L. James pretty much proved that wrong, that fanfic writers can be taken seriously. Just because they're writing about characters that have already been established in other works does not mean that no one takes them seriously. For one, their readers take them seriously. Fanfic is a great way for young and new writers to take characters that they're already passionate about and put them in an original setting. It's a great way for young and new authors to learn how to tell a story. And it kind of gives them a little bit of a crutch since some of the work is already done for them in terms of characterization, again, sometimes setting, depending on what their story is. So for people to talk down on fanfic writing, personally, I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of. I will say it until I'm blue in the face. I read and write fan fiction yesterday, as a matter of fact. I really don't think there's anything wrong with it. As long as you're not making any money from it, and as long as you are truly trying to create something apart from the original content, meaning that you're not basically just writing a scene from your favorite TV show verbatim, scene for scene, shot for shot, then there's literally nothing wrong with reading and writing fan fiction. It's a great tool. I believe it's an underutilized tool. I think every author should write fan fiction at some point in their life. A lot of established authors have read or written fan fiction at some point in their lives. In fact, some even started writing fan fiction after they became published authors. But Amanda, are there actually any authors that admit to writing fan fiction? Yes. Meg Cabot, who wrote The Princess Diaries, used to write Star Wars fanfic. R.J. Anderson, a young adult author, also has written fanfic under her own name. Cassandra Clare, I think I'm saying her last name right, the author of the Mortal Instruments series, is probably one of the most popular fanfic writers of all time. A few of her stories went viral, particularly The Very Secret Diaries, which was a Lord of the Rings parody. S.E. Hinton, who wrote The Outsiders, has been known to write some supernatural fanfic. A lot of times when authors write fanfic for the stories that they love, be it from TV, from books, from film, it's because they have a story of their own to tell about these characters. And typically it's stemmed from something from the original content that inspired them to ask a question. For example, what was Batman's high school years like? What would have happened if Dexter Morgan from the show Dexter had moved to New York and somehow bumped into the folks from the Law and Order universe? What would go down? Who would you root for? Two great shows with great protagonists. Which one do you root for? And how would that story play out? I'm not writing that. It was off the top of my head. What would happen if a scientific laboratory cloned Richard B. Riddick from Pitch Black, and now we had all these Riddick clones running around? What would go down? And what if they were trying to use these clones to save the world? This sounds like an amazing story. Somebody write it. Oh wait, somebody already did. Most fanfic writers that post regularly are really amazing writers. They come up with an original story for an already established universe with an already established fandom, and they kind of run with it, and they get creative, and they think outside the box. The end of the story is that there is nothing wrong with writing fanfic. As a matter of fact, I encourage anyone who is just starting out in writing and really has no idea where to start writing fanfic. Take your favorite film or take your favorite TV show. You don't even have to post it if you don't want to. Though I do recommend it because most of the time it's not as bad as you think it is. People will like your work. And some people might not, but that's okay because it's great practice for when you do write your novel. Not everyone is going to like it. So it's really great practice to be able to do so anonymously from behind a computer screen and behind a username rather than putting it out there with your name on it, with your photo on it, for everyone to know that it came from you. So for those of you out there that don't care for fanfic, that make fun of it, that think that the writers are cheesy and lonely and weird, I've got news for you. All writers are weird. All of us. Whether we write completely original fiction or we write fan fiction, we're all crazy pants. And for those of you out there that do write fan fiction or are maybe afraid to admit it, I was once in that boat too, and now I just don't give a shit. Honestly, it took me a long time to actually admit to someone that I read and write fanfic, but I'm completely okay with it because it is creating and it is something to be proud of. And I owe a lot of my growth as a writer to writing fanfic, so I want to acknowledge that, and I want to encourage new and young writers, if you're out there, if you're watching, go to your computer, figure out your favorite film, your favorite TV show, your favorite book, pick a character, and write a story about them. Because it is flexing your creativity muscles, and it is going to help mold and shape your writing. And it's free. I mean, I'm just saying, free. Sign me up. So there you have it, guys. Those are my thoughts on fan fiction. What are your thoughts on fan fiction? Let me know in the comments below. If you have an idea for something you would like for me to discuss in one of my next videos, you can leave it in the comments below, or you can tweet me at @theamandawilmot. For now, I will say goodbye. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.